Great. Well, thank you so much, team, for joining. Let's go ahead and get started. I know people will trickle in as time progresses. I'm George Tarnopolsky, VP of Programmatic at GroundTruth, and today we'll be having a discussion about driving performance in a DSP of your choice. And now, kind of in an uncertain economy, more than ever, our clients demand that our programmatic campaigns drive performance. So this topic is really top of mind for all of us. So first, a couple of ground rules. Everyone will be muted, but you can engage in real time through chat, and we'll make sure to address your questions and comments at the end. We'll also send a full recording to everyone at the end. Again, submit questions through the Q&A right in the Zoom chat. There's also a poll survey, really interested to hear your feedback. And if you've got follow-up questions, we have this email alias, adexpert@groundtruth.com, and I'll make sure I get right back to you. And today we'll review the programmatic landscape, and we'll really talk about how to drive high-performing campaigns in any DSP, such as DSPs of your choice. We'll take a little time to also dive into GroundTruth solutions. And as I mentioned, we'll have a Q&A at the end. So I'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have. So first, if you're not familiar with GroundTruth, we're a location-based advertising company. And what that means is that from a top-line perspective, we believe that location is an incredible predictor of intent. And we'll come back to how deterministic observed audience data is better at driving performance for you. So let's take a step back and let's look at the industry background, and let's describe why companies decide to in-house programmatic and work inside a DSP platform themselves versus partnering, let's say, with a managed services provider. So there are a few reasons. First, you may have your own in-house trading desk, your own operations team that's hands-on keyboard and a DSP of your choice, like the trade desk. Second, this is really common in the industry now, many agencies and services organizations utilize the billable hours revenue model. You want to charge clients for your services, and being inside a DSP is one way to charge your brand customers for labor hours. Also, you may have existing relationships and expertise in a DSP platform like the trade desk already. Also, with programmatic self-service inside a DSP, there's no contract like managed service. Programmatic is pay as you go. And last but not least, being inside a DSP platform yourself offers more transparency and control than working on a managed service basis. And also, as most of us know, programmatic is growing very quickly, and the trade desk is really a great proxy for this growth. Even in a somewhat uncertain economy, the trade desk is just crushing it. They reported $377 million in revenue just in Q2 of this year, which is 35% growth year over year. So even though they have huge numbers on the board, they're also showing huge growth. And this shows kind of the peer set of the trade desk. And the list includes Google DV360, Amazon, Roku, OneView, Xandr, Mobi, and many others. And perhaps you're already using one of these platforms. So now let's switch gears and kind of get to the main topic I want to take you guys through today, which is how you can improve performance in one of these DSP platforms. So first, let's break down concepts to the most fundamental level and go back to marketing school together. And of course, we know that as marketers, we want to reach the right person in the right place at the right time. And I kind of rearranged the order slightly here. Let's translate to what these three main pillars means to strategies inside our DSP platforms. And we'll begin with the right time. So this means capturing your audience's attention at the appropriate moment. And from a strategy perspective, this translates to reaching the person during or after business hours, or on the weekends or weekdays. Also during events such as conferences for B2B, sporting events, and so on. That's very much a right time. And also during certain weather conditions, which sometimes we forget about, but weather really affects the mindset of the consumer. For example, people are much more likely to order pizza when it's rainy. So weather really makes a big difference in the mindset and capturing the audience's attention. So next is right place, okay, which means connecting with the audience in the right context. And from a strategy perspective, marketers most oftenly think about premium, endemic, or high-performing websites, right? But it's also important to think of right place in terms of physical context, physical location, and points of interest. You know, often we are so in the mindset of everything being expressed through digital advertising and digital context, we forget about kind of the physical world. And digital advertising does allow us the ability to target people when they're near a physical location, which we'll talk about. And this makes such a big difference, again, in connecting with your audience in the right context. For example, let's say you're a CPG marketer. If your product is in stock at a Walmart, it's great to remind customers when they're on the physical premises of a Walmart location. So physical location really, makes a huge difference too. Last but not least is right person, okay? And this means targeting the customer correctly. And I mean, everyone has seen ads that aren't meant for us, which is annoying to the consumer and also wasteful of our brand budgets. And of course, when the wrong person is targeted as well, there's no way the campaign will drive real results. We will go much deeper into this particular area of discussion, how to target the right person in particular. And now let's take these strategies and let's kind of flip them more to the tactical approach. What do you do in the DSPs to actually hammer these strategies home? And again, let's look at tactics now. So first, with the right time, you can certainly use day parting functionality. This exists in every DSP. And you can also use weather targeting from a partner like GroundTruth. Looking at the right place, there are many tactical approaches that are available. So for example, you can run on premium site lists, run on private marketplace deals. You can also use brand safety settings in your demand side platform to protect yourself from running on bad sites, right? Also, the second bullet point is really important, which is optimizing or adjusting bids towards sites with the best performance. And this is often a key activity that programmatic teams are responsible for, optimizing campaigns and again, setting bids toward those sites that are the highest performing on a day-to-day basis. And lastly, again, when you think of the right place in a physical sense, using real-time location targeting is also a great approach to reaching your customer. And now let's look at the tactical approaches for reaching the right person. And sometimes as marketers, we might be guilty of just doing audience targeting in our campaigns, but not asking the right questions or not digging deeper. And so how do we have the best audience targeting possible? First, from a tactical approach, we need to vet and utilize the highest fidelity audience data. Also, it's so important to do test and learn across multiple audience data partners. So everyone speaks about agile methodology, but in marketing, we could do a better job in this area. And one path to agile is to test across multiple partners, learn, make adjustments, and continue iterating in this way. So testing and learn across multiple audience data partners is key. And last but not least, using deterministic audiences, which we'll describe in more detail, will also help us reach the right person and ultimately drive the best campaign performance possible. So deterministic audiences are very important. So let's drill a little bit deeper into this last pillar, which is that right person pillar, and review questions you should ask your audience data partner. So the first question to ask is, how are the audiences constructed, right? You want to understand what the partner is doing. Is their methodology sound? And also, is the methodology ethical? And is it privacy compliant? All super important questions that we should be asking. Next question I would ask is, are audiences deterministic or probabilistic? Now, we in the industry all love this terminology. The vast majority of us know what it means, but unfortunately, almost every provider you will ask this question will tell you they are deterministic. Like almost no one wants to put themselves into the probabilistic bucket, but often they will stretch the truth. And as a rule of thumb, only known or observed audiences are true deterministic. So what does that mean? Known typically means logged in users. So you know that someone is the same person across Facebook and Instagram, as an example, which is why Facebook and Instagram advertising is so effective. And an example of observed is an actual, let's say, physical visit to a store location logged on the person's mobile device. So again, I would recommend really challenging this question in particular. Are the audiences deterministic, which means known or observed? Or are they probabilistic, which means modeled, inferred, using statistical modeling in the mix? Another important question, which is so key, is how often are the audiences updated? So however the partner is sourcing the audience data, how often does that data get updated on their side? In other words, is the data fresh? You don't want to use data from last year, as an example. And last but not least, this is also a nuance that some of us miss. A partner might have a certain update schedule. They might even be updating audiences on their side, let's say daily, but as they do their integration into a DSP of your choice, such as the trade desk, you need to ask another question. You need to ask, how often are you refreshing those audiences in the DSP of my choice, such as the trade desk? Let's say you're running a campaign for an over-the-counter cold and flu drug, but the audience data for, let's say, Walgreens pharmacy visitors is only refreshed every 30 days, right? This is not going to be good enough for your campaign on the trade desk. So you really need to probe deeper and find out how often is the audience data partner refreshing these audiences in the DSP of your choice. And you want the shorter, more real-time refresh window, which will always be better. So just some questions to ask for your audience data provider, again, to make sure you have high fidelity audience data. So now that we've gone over through some thought starters together, I wanted to take you also through a quick presentation of GroundTruth products and how we can solve for these problems. So as you think of GroundTruth, we have three main pillars of our products. We can help you target people in real time, which we call real-time moments. We have a rich set of audiences, which are based on historic visitation behavior. And lastly, we own WeatherBug. So as you think about weather targeting, WeatherBug is the second largest weather app in the US, but also the fastest growing. And because of that, we support weather targeting and triggering as well. So those are the main three things that we do, but I also want to describe for you how we're different and why it's a positive, why it makes a positive impact on performance in your campaigns. Again, taking it back to what we were describing, looking at things through a performance lens. And the first concept I'd like to take you through is Blueprints, which is our mapping product and kind of a key differentiator. And in general, a key takeaway about GroundTruth is that we are dedicated to precision and accuracy. So again, as you think about performance, a lot of it will come down to precision and accuracy. And when you think of a lot of other location audience providers that exist in the industry, it's most common to think of radial targeting. So what's really common in the location advertising space is to drop a pin on a map and draw a circle around it. We tend to think that it has its place, but it's also wasteful. So we design blueprints to be custom polygons versus radial fences. And kind of behind the scenes of GroundTruth, we have over 5 million places where points of interest where we've defined these custom polygons for in-store, on-lot, and retail block. And this precision tends to drive higher performing campaigns. And the last thing I'll mention for you about blueprints as well is that it's both a piece of technology and also it's a team. And we have a fully dedicated team that creates these polygons as their main activity, which comes in handy in case your activation group wants to target a point of interest that's not in our database. We can quickly add it. So I would add like polygons again as another way of gaining this precision. And as you think of real-time targeting or even historic location targeting, this could be another like really good question to ask your partner. If for example, you don't currently work with GroundTruth, to ask the partner if they're just use radial fences or if they're able to do polygons as well. And we always tend to think that polygons is better. Another important point with us, when it comes to data fidelity, is MRC accreditation. And this can also be a question that you can ask your providers. The MRC, the Media Ratings Council, it's kind of like the Ernst & Young of digital advertising. And what they do is they vet and audit providers in this space. And a lot of work goes into an MRC audit because providers have to really first open the kimono, show how their technology works, and illustrate to the MRC, who again kind of wear that hat of someone similar to Ernst & Young, that the technology is sound, but also that the processes are sound. And we're the only provider that's MRC accredited across place determination, that let's say a latitude and longitude corresponds to a Walmart location. Also, the location of the person, that we're looking at a real location of a person and not something that's fake. And last but not least, we are also accredited by the MRC for accuracy of visit of that person. And the main takeaway for us is that our goal is to be the most trusted audience partner for you to work with. And we take great care to cleanse the data that powers our audiences, and we discard something like 70% of location signals along the way. And this feeds into our value proposition, which is that precision drives performance. And again, I think as you think about higher performing campaigns, it's a good idea to challenge your partners about the point of how precise they are. Our audiences at GroundTruth are deterministic and 100% based on observed visitation signals, not modeled, not probabilistic. And because of that, our audiences are really precise, which translates to better campaigns. And it's very logical that better targeting results in better campaigns, which translates to better performance. And when we're talking about performance, we mean those front-end metrics like CTR and cost per click. But even more importantly, it also means higher number of conversions, higher ROI, lower cost per acquisition, and ultimately also higher number of store visits too. And in general, you want to work with a partner that's deterministic or as close to it as possible, because it will drive better performance, because it will have better targeting. And real quickly, I also wanted to show you just a quick view into our programmatic solutions. So let's say you're using the Trade Desk or Google DV360 or really any other DSP of your choice. There's two ways of working with us programmatically, and that's either through PMP or private marketplace, or the other door we can walk through is through audience targeting. PMP is our most comprehensive offering, and that includes all ground truth products, including real-time targeting solutions like on-premise. On-premise are those wonderful blueprints we were talking about, or neighborhoods, which is kind of like affinity targeting, or our audience targeting, which is based on past behavior, and weather targeting too. We can activate that all through a PMP, and we can do that within the mobile display and mobile video channels. Or the other door you can walk through with us programmatically, if you're already using a third-party DSP like the Trade Desk, is through audience targeting. Our audiences are based on past visitation behavior, and it's a fixed list of 1,500 really robust audience segments. And if you're curious, we are updating those audiences daily on our side, and inside a DSP like the Trade Desk, we're updating them on a weekly basis. Because again, freshness of data is very important. And this is just a snapshot of the types of audiences that are available to you as well. So there's two flavors. First is location audiences, which are, again, in ground truth, 100% based on observed visits. They're not based on modeling or fuzzy matching. They're based on actual observed real visits that are, also where there are methodologies vetted by the MRC. So examples can include visitors to different brands, let's say McDonald's, or competitors of your brands. Conquesting is super common on our platform. You can also target whole categories, let's say quick service restaurants. And then the other flavor of our audiences are behavioral. So what are behavioral audiences? Think of it as a multi-touch approach. So we're looking at multiple touches, again, 100% based on observed visits. Let's say someone visited the dollar store, an outlet mall, and a convenience store. We will put them in a discount shopper behavioral audience. And in general, again, our behavioral audiences also are based on those observed visitation signals. And lastly, this is just a summary of what our audiences look like. Again, our audiences are based on past behavior. If you wanted to target people in real time, we can, or use weather, we can do that through private marketplace. But our audience solutions include observed visitation behavior to over 1,000 brands, over 300 brand categories, and over 100 behavioral segments, which again, I've mentioned are those kind of multi-touch audiences constructed based on multiple observed visits to different points of interest. And we can work together in really any DSP of your choice. We have a really robust process for either pushing PMPs to a DSP of your choice, or pushing audiences to the DSP of your choice. And our audiences are already always on in the Trade Desk, and we're working more on sort of those always on integrations also. So I realized we've kind of raced through this and really made great time. But I would love to open it up and open up to any questions that you might have. So looking in chat. So feel free to ask any questions that you might have in chat, team. Great. Yeah, and feel free to just type type questions in chat, and I'll read them out and answer them for everyone. Great. So so a question from Ed was, are we going to show the GroundTruth dashboard and how to run ads in it? So 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 we weren't planning for it in this particular webinar, but as a follow-up, we can do that in a subsequent session. Yeah, so one of the question was, can you show people who shop in Home Depot or Lowe's? So really great question from Greg. And yeah, indeed, as we think about our blueprint system and points of interest, those we've already blueprinted 1,000 of the top brands, and Home Depot or Lowe's visitors are already on that list. So you can target visitors to Home Depot or Lowe's either in real time, and in real time you can target them both in store, in parking lot, or in retail block, or we can also help you reach past visitors as well through our audiences product, where you can reach past visitors to Home Depot or Lowe's. Yeah. So quick question from Kevin, how do we get to use blueprints? Is this available for us to use? And yeah, absolutely. So in the GroundTruth platform, there's first, if you're using us through, let's say, self-service, which we do offer, or managed service, we can create targeting solutions for you that are based on blueprints, or you can access them yourself. It's accessible through our platform. And if you work with us programmatically, let's say you already have a DSP of your choice, then the targeting solutions that are described for you are also available for you. So as an example, let's say you want to target visitors. Again, let's use the Home Depot example. So Home Depot visitors to the Home Depot stores, parking lots, let's say. We can deploy a PMP for you to a DSP of your choice, like the trade desk. And you can then reach those people in real time, or with our audiences, which are based on past visitation behavior, that's also based on blueprints, which is, again, a key differentiator of ours. We look at visits based in terms of polygons as the default option, versus looking at radial fences, which is much more common but wasteful as well. So really good question. Can we target someone like real estate investors? As a matter of fact, we even have within our blueprints product, we do have pretty sure we have real estate shoppers. And we can also help you reach people who frequent things like open houses and things like that. So yeah, real estate is a vertical that we do have customers that work with us, and yeah, it's an area we absolutely have audiences and blueprints in. Great. Another question that's coming in through chat is around this question of precision. Does emphasizing precision and deterministic audiences come at the expense of campaign scale and delivery? So really good question, talking about the trade-off, precision and scale. And like naturally, there's always a trade-off between precision and scale. But there's other ways we can help you solve for that if it becomes a problem. So one of the things we recommend for our clients is that they don't do just one thing. So we talked about blueprints targeting, which is, again, using polygons for in-store and parking lot and retail block as an example. That's really precise. It's a really good idea to augment that with other tactics as well. So for example, using our neighborhoods targeting, which finds those people that have a high affinity to visiting those stores, or to use our audience targeting. And this way you can have the best of both worlds. So whenever you work with a provider that's deterministic and high precision, it's a good idea to think of them in terms of a portfolio of different things you can do and do multiple things at once. This way you can have both that precision, but also the scale. Good question. So another question from Greg is, can you target people that own a home value of over 300K in a city? Let me follow up. Let me follow up on that. I believe that we can, but I need to double check for you. Let me take note of that. Would you have anything for just married? So one of the things that we also have is we have one of our products is custom audiences. And so we obviously have our own visitation data that's based on visits, and we can infer certain things based on visits. So for example, we can infer if someone is a suburban mom, or we can infer if someone is a Gen X, Gen Z, okay? The other thing we can also do is we can overlay third-party data that we have access to. So I don't believe we ourselves have access or infer if someone is just married based on visits, because that's where our data comes from. But we can using our custom audiences product, we can perhaps tap into the third-party data marketplace that we have access to and overlay that on top of, let's say, visitation audiences. So a common use case to Steve's question about targeting people who are just married would be, let's say target Walmart visitors and people who are just married. We would obtain the Walmart visitors data based on our own data source, which is observed visits. We would probably obtain the just married data set through third-party data marketplace. Yeah. So Steve is asking also a question on how to get more info on custom data. So we can send through more info about that. And I'm making sure that everyone who's asking questions will send through a follow-up as well. And also Steve, we've added that email alias as well, which is adexpert@groundtruth.com. So we'll do our best to reach out and connect right after, but also feel free to use that email alias with any follow-ups also. Just adexpert@groundtruth.com. Any other questions? All right. Well, if there's any other questions, I'll give back 25 minutes to you guys' day. I know everyone is busy. And again, really appreciate everyone coming to this webinar. We'll make sure to send through follow-ups, and have a great rest of your day. Thank you, team.